Are you a mom struggling with estrangement and you're asking yourself, what does forgiveness look like and what does reconciliation look like? How do we go about doing that and what questions do I need to ask myself? So today we're going to break that down for you. You know, forgiveness and reconciliation is not necessarily always a joint venture. It takes one person to forgive, but it takes two people to be reunited. So that is something that we need to remember in any relationship, whether it's with our child or someone else for that matter. So today, I want to break down 3 points for you in regards to this topic of forgiveness and reconciliation and what the differences are and what it looks like. So the first is healing through forgiveness. So why does forgiveness matter? I want you to remember that forgiveness is a powerful, powerful tool for personal healing. Personal healing for you, not for the other person, not for your son or daughter, but for you. And holding on to resentment and refusing to forgive and having anger as a result of it can have detrimental effects on your own emotional well-being and eventually physical well-being. And again, we talk about personal. Again, forgiveness is something that you do for yourself. It has nothing to do with another person. And sometimes people really grapple with that because it doesn't really make sense sometimes. But if you know the power of forgiveness and how it releases you out of bondage and not the other person, and it never ever means that what someone did to you or said to you or all of these things, not that that means it's okay, but I just want you to remember that forgiveness does matter for you. And like I said, it frees the mom, it frees you from the emotional burden of holding on to that. And unforgiveness actually, it kind of allows you to be unable to move forward in your own life. It's like a ton of bricks just pouring down on us. So how does that differ from reconciliation? Well, forgiveness, like I said, is an internal process. So it's that decision to let go of the negative emotions, release the past grievances that you have with your child. But unlike reconciliation, forgiveness does not always mean restoring the relationship. And that is where we get confused and stuck sometimes because it's finding that peace within ourselves, independent of external circumstances, independent of what anyone else says or what anyone else, how they respond or or maybe even the lack of response, right? So that is the decision. So that's the difference between the two. So the second is setting healthy boundaries. Well, we talk about boundaries a lot, but what does that look like? When you choose to not forgive, you're literally abandoning your own self-respect. I hope you heard me because that is detrimental to your future and how you live the rest of your life and all your other relationships. When we have things from our past that have hurt us so badly and we refuse to forgive that person, take yourself back even to your childhood maybe. For some of you, there was a pivotal moment there that you still haven't forgiven someone. And that's why you're finding it so hard to forgive your child because you're grappling with something that happened to you years and years and years ago because there's still unforgiveness in your heart. And so you need to be able to have that self-respect for yourself moving forward. So having those healthy boundaries, protecting yourself, especially for those of you that are, when I talk about physical boundaries, I'm talking about those of you that have been dealing with physical harm, physical abuse, or even emotional abuse from your kids or from other people in your life, because it's a fact. A lot of you are dealing with that. And so you have to have those healthy boundaries. It differs from reconciliation in the sense that reconciliation with your child in this case, it involves rebuilding trust. And in order to reestablish that relationship, you have to be on a path of rebuilding that trust. And some of you are not seeing change. So if you're not seeing any change in your adult son or daughter in this case, what is it, Dr. Phil, the one that says the best prediction of future behavior is the most recent past behavior. So if they were bawling you out the other day, but then 2 days from now, they're wanting you to trust them, that's nearly impossible, right? You're not going to trust them with your heart. You may have forgiven them for that such situation, but you're not going to trust them with your heart quite yet, right? And I went through this for many, many years. And it's one of those things that, but you have to remember that when your child is ready for change, you will know it. You will know it, you will see it, you will feel it. It is just, it's obvious. And if it's not obvious to you yet, then chances are they're not in the process of their change yet. And so forgiveness, while forgiveness can be this solo act, right? It's a standalone thing. Reconciliation involves some negotiation. It involves the boundaries. It involves expectations and limits. And I don't mean expectations as in setting high expectations for them that they can't live up to. But you can have the expectation that if we are going to reconcile, we need to have really good communication so this doesn't happen again. Because the last thing I want to see you do, like I personally have lived through, and many, many of my clients I've seen over and over, where in the past they would reconcile and then it would happen again. And they would get their hope built up and then something would happen and they would be estranged again. And that is heartbreaking for the child and for you as a mom. Whatever is causing the estrangement is an issue inside of you and or your child. There's something else going on that doesn't meet the eye, right? So for those of you that want to learn more about how to stop this pain and move forward in your own life, and you're ready for some coaching, I want you to click the link to my discovery call below. And that is where you can learn more about that, and we'll have a 30-minute consultation. So I look forward to talking to you on there. Number 3 is embracing empathy and forgiveness. And that can be hard. I'm not going to lie, that can be hard. But helping you understand and acknowledge the pain experienced by both. So I just mentioned to you, whatever's going on is inside of you and in your son or daughter, right? So if that's the case, if we can try to have some empathy in our forgiveness where we can say, you know what, he or she, there were a lot of things that happened as a child that maybe you may not fully understand. Some you may not fully know. But at the same time, we have to have this empathy that just as another human being, separate the fact that it's your child for just a second and just know that it's another human being that you can't control, right? Pretend it is your best friend's son or daughter, where you can still love and care, but you can be a little bit more rational and you can have a little less emotion tied to it. So forgiveness doesn't condone their actions. Forgiveness does not, but it allows for you to be a little bit more compassionate and understanding all these complexities, because there's so many factors that fall into this with estrangement. And when you start you're wanting to reconcile, and some of you are like, I would give anything for my son or daughter to contact me so we could reconcile. Sally, you have no idea how long I've been waiting for that. And actually, we've been talking about this in my group coaching program, because what's happening is moms want that, but then when they start really thinking about it, they get a little nervous about, how am I going to handle that? How am I going to handle that situation if I got that text or I got that call? I don't want to go backwards in my own life. It's fear. There's fear of having this happen again. And I don't blame them, because I have seen it happen multiple times. I've experienced it multiple times. But like I said, when you start spending small amount of time, conversations with someone, again, put anyone in the picture here, but we're talking about your child in this case, but it could be with anyone, you are going to quickly see whether change is permanent or not. It doesn't mean perfection. It just means, do they have a heart change? Are they ready to get the help that they need, or have they already got the help that they need while you guys have been apart? Because a lot of your kids are doing that as well, and that's great. That's excellent, and that's what you want. But until then, you have to be able to know that we can forgive. Doesn't mean we have to reconcile 100% on day one, right? There's a lot of things that go into the forgiveness and reconciliation. But just remember, forgiveness can occur even if you're not ready to reconcile. Even if your child wants to reconcile, but you're a little gun shy, right? You can still forgive them, and vice versa. They can forgive you even while not wanting to reconcile. And so these situations are also different. No two situations are the same. And so I just want you to remember, just be kind to yourself and just process through this. I look forward to talking to you on the discovery call if we've never chatted before. And I will see you in the next video.